Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel once again, where we talk all things health and healing from a holistic perspective, and today will be no different. Today I'm going to talk about seven myths about losing weight that many of you have probably subscribed to, and it's probably you're using these myths as to why you're not getting the results that you want. Just to give you a little bit of background, my background is in undergrad, I was a chemistry and also an exercise physiology major, okay? Specifically in kinesiology. And essentially what we did with kinesiology was, training, stress exercises, things of that nature. So essentially a trainer with a 4-year degree, okay? So that's the best perspective on it. What I was noticing when I was training clients in my undergrad years was that a lot of people were getting fit, but they weren't getting rid of the fat, okay? So you'll see people all the time in the gym with trainers. The trainers will have them on the treadmill going crazy. They're about to die, and eventually they'll get fit, but they don't necessarily lose the fat. So we're gonna go over seven myths as to why people don't achieve the results that they're actually looking for, okay? Which I think is hugely important. Now, one of the myths that I see all the time in the gym is, especially around weight loss, is spot reduction. People believe that they can spot reduce fat by doing certain exercises. And I'm not saying that you can't achieve some results, but based on the studies that have been done, specifically, I'll give you an example with the abs. They did studies, and what they noticed was those who exercise specifically focusing on abs 4 to 5 days a week for 30 to 45 minutes over a 6-week period, it showed little to no improvement in their abs. Now, what happened was they got stronger in their core, but they didn't necessarily see that six-pack come in, okay? And there's a reason for that, okay? Because the abs are there, they're just underneath all of that subcutaneous fat, okay? So spot reduction is also a major myth as well too, okay? Number 2, all calories are created equal. All calories are created equal. I talk about this in my book, Education Over Medication, but the science and the math just don't add up when it comes to all calories that are created equal. And what I mean by that is, quite often what people are doing is just watching their calories, but they're not specifically watching what type of calories they're having. They're looking at the quantity of calories, but they're not looking at the quality of calories. Okay, so all calories aren't created equal. So if you just simply look at how many calories you're consuming over the course of a day and not look at the quality of calories that you're actually having, you're probably not going to get the results that you want. Now, let me show you why the math isn't mathing. If you look at what it takes to burn 1 pound of fat, it takes 3,500 calories to burn 1 pound of fat. Now, that's the math behind it. Now, imagine you go to the gym, and when you work out, all right, on average, somebody's probably burning 300 to 500 calories if they're doing a pretty good workout. All right, now let me give you another example. What would you guess the average runner, like who runs a marathon, which is 26 miles, how many calories do you think that they burn when they're running that 26-mile race? They burn on average somewhere around 2,500 to 2,600 calories, okay? They ran 26 miles and they still didn't do enough to burn 1 pound of fat, okay? So that's why I explain to people, the math just doesn't add up, nor does the science, okay? So looking at calories isn't the best way. What you need to do is look at the quality of calories. That's the most important thing, the quality of calories, okay? What you're eating, because if you eat nutrient-dense food, quite often nutrient-dense food doesn't have a lot of calories. If you eat a lot of salads, you eat a lot of fruits, you eat a lot of vegetables, okay? Nuts, seeds, okay? They're packed with nutrients, but they're not necessarily packed with a lot of calories. So what you want to focus on is the nutrient content that you're bringing in your body, because quite often what I see with people who are overweight, they're often malnourished but overfed. Okay, so they can eat a lot, but they still don't get enough nourishment. So they're quite often very deficient in a lot of things. Okay, and I often will see people who are slightly overweight or obese. A lot of them don't even eat a lot of food. Okay, so it's telling you it's not the calorie, it is the quality of food that they're bringing to the body, and quite often that quality is very poor, and as a result, the food can't be processed, it can't be utilized, and so it's just absorbed and it sits on the body. Okay, and especially when it comes to a lot of sugar. Okay, a lot of sugar that we're consuming, and we consume 152 pounds of sugar every year. That sugar is converted into fat. Okay, that 152 pounds is being converted into fat, a large majority of it. Okay, so all calories are not created equal. All right, number 3, eat less, move more. Okay, that's sort of like the trainer's anthem. Eat less, move more. It's like, all right, we're gonna drop your calories and we're gonna increase your movement through exercise. Okay, and again, what I've seen in my personal practice, what I've seen just anecdotally being at the gym and just through observational studies, that does not work. You get fit, but you don't burn the fat always. Okay, and the reason why that happens is quite often is because what people don't understand about burning fat is a metabolism issue, meaning your metabolism has shifted into the direction of just storing fat on your body, and simply just changing how you move and isn't enough, and eating less isn't enough. Again, it's not about eating less. What it's about is eating high quality. Okay, and shifting away from the low quality or low vibrational foods. All right, so eat less, move more doesn't work either. Okay, and I know a lot of you can attest to that. All right, the fourth one is fat makes you fat. Okay, fat doesn't always make you fat. All right, I'll give you an example. It depends on the quality of fat. If you're eating avocados, nuts, seeds, okay, which are healthy fats, those fats not only come with fat, they actually come with a ton of other nutrients. They actually come with fiber as well too. So fats don't always, convert into fat into the body. The other really important thing is you eat the right kind of fats, avocados, nuts, seeds, etc., seaweed. They actually reduce inflammation in the body, and inflammation is actually a driver of obesity as well too. And the other thing that's really important, the healthier you eat, guess what? You not only don't make fat, but you actually increase your metabolism to burn fat. So fat doesn't always turn into fat, because sugar can turn into fat in the body as well too. And the other big thing that is really important, a lot of toxicity goes into that fat. All right. The fifth myth. The fifth myth is you need a diet to lose weight. I know that sounds crazy, because most people's first inclination when they're going on a weight loss journey is, I need to diet. Okay, but the studies show, especially around the time of the year we're doing New Year's Eve resolutions, the vast majority of people who start a diet, okay, within months, they not only have gained back the weight that they initially lost. For the vast majority of those people, they've gained back that weight plus additional weight, okay, in a year's time. Okay, so diets don't work. 80 to 90% gain more weight back, okay, after going on a diet. Diet foods are often they're often the worst food, because they're the most highly processed as well too, especially when you're looking at diet foods. I'm not talking about plant-based foods. I'm talking about diet foods. Those meal plans that people are going on, those bars that they're telling you to drink, the drinks that they're telling you to drink, they're often leading to you actually gaining more weight. So diets don't work either. That's a big myth. The other thing, this is a big myth around weight loss and being lean as well too. Thin people are always healthy. Now I'm coming for the thin people out there. Lean people. Just because you're skinny, just because you're thin, it does not mean that you're healthy, okay? And a lot of people find this out in a very unfortunate way. There's a condition known as TOFI, which is thin on the outside, but fat on the inside. So you look thin on the outside, but on the inside, your body composition is very high in fat, okay? So just because you're thin does not make you healthy, okay? You still could be loaded with a ton of toxins. As I said before, toxicity loves fat. So just because you're thin, you could have a very high composition of body fat. You could have a lot of toxins in the tissues, okay? A lot of dysfunction, a lot of hormonal dysfunction as well too. So just because you're thin, that does not necessarily mean that you're going to be healthy. Now, is it better to be thinner, or a healthier weight is a better way to put it? Absolutely. Because body fat is very dangerous to the body. It's inflammatory because it creates cytokines, the same cytokines that we were talking about during, the pandemic. Those same cytokines that were creating inflammation in the lungs and causing people not to be able to breathe, those same cytokines cause issues throughout the whole body when body fat is constantly being stored. That fat creates its own cytokines as well too, creates inflammation in the entire body, okay? All right, so thin people aren't necessarily always healthy. That's a myth, okay? The last one, the very last one for today is the moderation scam. I hear this all the time. Like people will say, and quite often it comes after people ask me this question. They'll say, so you don't eat meat? No, I don't eat meat. And they'll say, well, what about fish? And I'm like, no, I don't eat fish or any animal products. And I usually sort of helps them. And they're like, what about eggs? No eggs. And then they say, well, Doc, I can't do all of that, but I'm going to do my best. And, I'm going to do moderation, like people will say, I just can't give up the wings. I just can't give up the French fries. I can't give up the macaroni and cheese or whatever it may be. And they'll say, well, then moderation is good. But here's the thing about moderation. One, it's a slippery slope because quite often the type of foods that you're eating in moderation, the issue is that those foods are not only addictive, okay, whether through salt, okay, like with wings, whether through the saucy, sugary stuff they put on it, like barbecue sauce, whether it be cheese. Cheese, I talk about this in my book, where I talk about the reason you need to dish dairy, or why dairy is so scary, that cheese has these compounds in it called casomorphins that light up our brain and make us love them, okay? So moderation is a scam because the issue that I see a lot of people have is the ability to be disciplined with their food. The ability to be disciplined with their food is a hurdle because food addiction, they literally bake addiction into the food. They make sure that you're addicted to the food, okay? But you'll never get addicted to salads. You'll never get addicted to fruits. You'll just have a healthy relationship with them. And unfortunately, we don't have a healthy relationship with food. So food becomes addicting. It becomes a drug. Anything you can become addicted to is a drug, okay? All right, the other thing is emotional eating, all right? That's why moderation doesn't work either. A lot of people will emotionally eat. And because we live in a society today where people are on one end of the spectrum at the first half of the day and on the other end, the second half of the day, with social media, the news, the fear mongering that goes on, a lot of people are emotionally eating. And as a result of that, they're constantly in this state of sliding down that slippery slope. Okay, so moderation does not work. And not only am I saying that from a theoretical standpoint, but I'm saying that it's been proven through science that the people who embrace moderation end up not only not being able to embrace, a healthier diet in the long run, a lot of those people end up slipping right back into the diet that they had before, okay? So moderation is another big issue. The major key to fat loss isn't a diet, it's a lifestyle. You have to commit to a lifestyle. And that's what I always tell people is, I usually tell people I'm not vegan, even though technically I am. I tell people I'm not alkaline, even though technically I am. I tell people I'm not plant-based, even though technically I am, because they misuse that word, especially on food packets today. I tell people I live a nutritarian lifestyle. Okay, my lifestyle is based on focusing on nutrient-dense foods. Okay, and my lifestyle not only incorporates what I eat, it incorporates how I move, spending time outside in nature. It also incorporates my mindset as well too, a healthy mindset as well too. That is a major key for not only your weight loss, in general, but your weight loss journey and maintaining a healthy weight and lifestyle. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this video. All right.